What if you turn hardship into greatness, anger into serenity? Everything changes. Make your life a masterpiece. Pain and pleasure. Think about this. Does conflict invoke in you more pain or more pleasure? In other words, it's really a decision. But before we really can take this and make a conscious decision, we have to analyze first what really conflict does to us. And so ask yourself, does conflict inflict more pain or pleasure? Do you seek, whatever you do in a conflict, do you seek more security, more belongingness, more recognition, more action, and ultimately meaning? And is the driver that really underlines it, is it the pain or is it really the pleasure? And oftentimes it's really the pain, right? Because we might be fearful, we might be doubtful, we might just have a sense of fear of what comes at us, and therefore we shut down. Therefore we are not really able to communicate appropriately anymore, and therefore we can also not think appropriately anymore, because really fear is really the guiding force, and fear is never a good counselor in our lives. It doesn't really help us to make sound decisions that ultimately help us to improve our relationships to ourselves and really to our friends and loved ones. Therefore, ask yourself, conflict, does it inflict in you like pain or pleasure? And it's very, very likely that you try to somehow escape the pain. Therefore, you take the safe side and do whatever you can in order to find a sense of security within the conflict, whatever you face. And therefore, you tend to do something that you're used to do, which might not be really the best thing to do. Secondly, again, it's the pain, so therefore we do something that enhances our sense of belongingness to ourselves and the other person, even though it might hurt, but it's really what we are used to do. And the same applies to recognition. We do it if it's guided by pain. We do something that's most likely helping to escalate further the conflict. And lastly, the action. In other words, our behavior really is guided by fear, by pain, and therefore we tend to do things that further escalate the conflict. I give you an example. If someone approaches you, accuses you, what is our very, very likely response? Well, our very likely response is that we also start counter-accusing the other person, which ultimately will enhance and escalate really the conflict. In other words, we are really the mirror of the other person, and therefore we simply, in more philosophical terms, we mimic really the other person until it really escalates completely. And if we take a step back, we ultimately realize that, oh my gosh, I really could have handled this much differently, and in doing so we would be in a very, very much better place now than if I not had escalated the conflict. So think about again, is it really pain or is it pleasure that guides your behavior? And all this together, you put all the security, human identity needs in terms of security together, belongingness, recognition, action, and ultimately your world of meaning is jeopardized because you really feel badly, and so does the other person. And therefore, we have to really think through what really guides us. Is it pain or pleasure in conflict? And at the very beginning, it's normal that really pain guides our behavior. Unfortunately, pain is not a very good counselor in our life. But simply the awareness that it's most likely pain, we can go ultimately to the next step and really start addressing it and put really onto it meaning. And by meaning, I mean we can switch and flip it, which really means that we give it a different meaning. Whenever we face pain, whenever we face, let's say, conflict, we start seeing it as a source of pain. So we focus not on pain, but we focus actually on it as a source of growth. So our focus is on our growth, what we can actually learn in the conflict about ourselves and really about the other person. Secondly, we really decide what we want this specific situation, what it means to us, the meaning. What is the meaning that we give to this situation? And then ultimately we act on it. In other words, we change the meaning. As I just said, the focus is on the opportunity. Then we change it, the meaning automatically. It's a source of growth. And then we can start really changing our behavior. Change the focus, change the meaning, and ultimately you're able to change the behavior. That's why knowledge matters. Make your life a masterpiece. Visit now programs.d-ykm.com. Meant to make you grow.